Come on, please. Yes! 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 Yes!
Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is episode number 23 of the 9 Dart Podcast, your one-stop shop for talking tungsten. Lorenzo and Josh are back after a week away. We are so back, Josh. So back. How are you?
Yes, good. Good to be back. Had a safe flight home and back from
you
Bali.
in Bali, Indonesia.
In the hot. It's not great to come back to the cold, but good to be back with you.
It will be a big transition, I imagine. It's a sort of ordinary day in Melbourne, even more so than normal for the start of July. But we've got lots of darts to talk about and keep nice and warm in here.
Yes, it's quite nice.
Before we've got some sad news to go off the top before we jump into the first news.
Absolutely.
It was a good week of darts all round, but we should mention this right off the top. Christine Thornton, who was the wife of Robert Thornton, who's been a regular in darts for he's been around for a very long time now. The Scotsman, he was a UK Open winner as well, I think, and I was going to say World Grand Prix semi-finalist. That was Mervyn. But we heard that his wife passed away during the week. That sort of was around the World Seniors, which was being held at the MODUS Super Series venue in Portsmouth. So two venues we're very familiar with Robert Thornton playing in. And we're just thinking of him and all his family at this particular time.
Of course. Well, he was actually due to play at that before pulling out. He pulled out of the World Seniors the previous time before the Champion of Champions. So he put it out of two events. So I'm sure he's going through a bit of a hard time, and our condolences to him and his family. I'm sure he's going through a very tough time at the moment. And if he chooses to have a big break from darts, then we understand that absolutely. It'd be good to see him, but our condolences to him and his family.
100%. The big PDC event, big real darts event worldwide this weekend, took place at Madison Square Gardens, and New York darts is absolutely fantastic, Josh. MSG is such an iconic venue, and the theatre there was used for this US Darts Masters. It's been a few years now that we've been there, and it's just fantastic. The crowd is brilliant. The Americans do show off their prowess in darts, both the US Darts Masters and at the North American Championship, which runs alongside this event. It was just brilliant, and they'll be back there next year. So all in all, just a great event.
Absolutely. It was fantastic. Some great events, some great upset victories, which we'll get to in a minute, some great names to be shown. But no, overall, the fans were fantastic, very well behaved, and everything was great. It was great to see Madison Square Gardens, the home of the New York Knicks, I believe, in NBA basketball. So good to see.
I think a few different teams play there. It's sort of in their main hub, and they've got the little theatre there, which is what the darts. You like to say the fans were well behaved, and they were. There was just one moment, I think, Luke Humphries was half injured when someone pulled him back. So other than that, sort of one little hiccup. Everything ran, which is the weirdest thing. Humphries did get a lot of weird injuries. He was bleeding, remember, on that Premier League night. In a nightly final where he pulled darts out of the board and cut himself on the wire. So he gets a couple of weird injuries, Luke Humphries. Hopefully he should be all fine and back in action in Poland, which is where they're at this weekend. But other than that one little hiccup, US Darts is great. And I'll talk a little bit later about what we might be able to see from the US Darts going forward in terms of what events the PDC put on there. But in terms of the event itself, we actually had a couple of big fishes, the first of which was from Stephen Bunting. Of course, we had to mention 60-60 Bull in his match against Jason Brandon. But that wasn't even the craziest thing that happened in the span of 15 seconds, because they cut to the crowd, and guess who? This is actually pretty smart. Someone brought a little reel to sort of mini fishing rod to be able to do that. So that is quite smart, I think.
I saw it and I went, it's actually only played for like a fraction of a second, so I clipped it at just the right point too. But very, very funny.
That was very good.
That's what darts is all about.
Damon Hayter also hit a 170 out in his match against Nathan Aspinall. He had a good weekend getting to the semi-final, the Aussie. So big weekend in Australian darts, as we'll also get to later. But our Aussie number one in the World Series of Darts, potentially a preview for maybe getting to Premier League later down the line in the next few years. Fingers crossed. He's going to have to go deeper in majors that we haven't seen from him yet, but we know that sort of performance is in him. We also know...
Sorry. There was one point about Damon Hayter. You know the podcast with Hugh Ware?
Yes.
That I think either you mentioned or someone else. He was he was a guest for it.
I've been meaning to listen to this Hugh Ware podcast
please
for ages.
Yeah, please
but
listen to it.
I've got so many other ones I'm balancing.
Yeah, it's about 55 minutes. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, all the
wherever you get your
regular
podcasts.
podcast programs. I listened to it on the way home in the
I've been
plane.
meaning to listen to Hugh Ware's podcast. I haven't listened to a
recommend.
single episode, but I've been wanting to for ages. So I think that's going to be on my radar of things to do in amongst when I'm writing different articles for extra time in the Australian Cricket Society.
I was thinking like Hugh Ware podcast, being a referee, I don't know, but honestly, so well worth the time. And he spoke very well, Hedo, about his life, his PDC program, his youth, getting to state championships, whatever. And now obviously he wants that Premier League spot. He wants a top 4 spot. That's what he said. So
100%.
Go for it. It's really good.
Brilliant.
And I'd also watch it at home, our viewers.
Yeah. So well done today for getting to the semi-final and putting on a good display. But someone who we know puts on a good display week in, week out. If we just tell you, like, Luke wins tournaments now, it's no surprise. But Luke Humphries hasn't had the greatest success on the World Series. His first World Series event was last year in New Zealand. He picked up his second title now with the US Darts Masters victory. So his run to the final was a 6-4 win over Stowe Bunce, who played quite well in that match. Then a 6-2 win over Danny Lauby, who we'll talk about in a second. 7-2 victory over Gurn Price. And then 8-6 in a great match against Nathan Aspinall. I'm watching this match and I'm going, nobody here knows that this is... You can't tell watching this match that this is a non-ranking event. This doesn't mean that much. That the prize money for the winner is like £30,000 and that's it. Because it felt like the crowd was getting involved. It felt like a really good quality tussle and a couple of tense moments in there. But Humphries, he looked pretty sharp all weekend.
He did. Sure
the recently crowned Premier League champion and world number 1.
So I watched the highlights for it. Obviously, I was in Bali, so I couldn't watch the whole thing. But on the plane home, watched it. He looked very good. He looked very, very sharp. Back to his best for sure. 100%.
Absolutely. So, strong averages there throughout the sort of 90 throughout. And just that very consistent level that we know Luke Humphries can get up to. So well done, Cool Hand, picking up a title once again. The other event on that weekend, the North American Darts Championship, was won by Matt Campbell.
Go the Redheads.
He lost his match against Nathan Aspinall in the first round of the US Darts Masters, but he came back the following day and picked up the North American Darts Championship in and amongst the these 8 guys who are playing obviously as part of the US Darts Masters as well. So still firmly up the top of the North American scene at the moment. Matt Campbell, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. No, he played very well throughout, and good to see some good local US names play as well. Leonard Gates and all those guys who we haven't really seen much before. He's only sort of played at some local-ish events, but good to see him play there. But for Matt Campbell, had a great weekend. So good to see him get a victory there.
Beat Jason Brandon 6-1, Stowe Bunce 6-2, and then Jim Long 6-3 in an all-Canadian final.
Yes.
Actually even averaged 100, just under 104 in that win over Jason Brandon. So a very strong performance there, getting the title there. I don't think he won't be allowed to take that as part of the route to potentially qualifying for the World Championship, given he's a current tour card holder, but he was allowed to play in it, and he's defended his title as well. I think it's fair to say the US should be pretty proud of what they were able to put up. Danny Lauby and Jason Brandon winning their first round matches back-to-back as well. Jason Brandon won 6-4.
Whitewash.
But Danny Lauby's whitewash of the defending champion Rob Cross was the big story. That was Cross wasn't great on his doubles, but Danny Lauby pounced at those opportunities, which is what you need to do.
Sure did. He was very, very good and loves the crowd as well. Look at him saying, "I'm here. I'm here to stay. I'm representing my country proud." And so did Jason Brandon. But I guess Bunting sort of
he played fine, but Jason Brandon just played a bit better,
flopping away. But also, Brandon played a lot. Well, not a lot better, but better enough on those doubles to really execute in the end. So
100%.
Good to see the US doing well against top PDC pedigree for sure.
Yeah, and you know it was really important. Jason Brandon said that win was probably the biggest of his career.
He did say that.
Beat such a top quality player that we know Stephen Bunting is. He even put it higher than what happened late last year when he made the Lakeside World Championship semi-final. He lost in a whitewash in that semi-final to Paul Lim. So if we do it in a roundabout way, we can say because Jason Brandon beat Stephen Bunting and Paul Lim beat Jason Brandon, we can say in a roundabout way, Paul Lim better than Stephen Bunting.
There you go.
Paul Lim reference always finds a way on this podcast, even if he's nowhere near. But so it's good to see Brandon. He's really beginning to show some good experience.
Sure is.
And on those big stages. So those two are very good. As we said, Stephen, I mean, he wasn't terrible. He hit the 170 finish, but he was fine. Who was less impressive though was Rob Cross getting whitewashed. Only worst average of the PDC guys, as we'd probably expect, 89.26. Just didn't look really at it from the start.
No, you're right. I don't have much to say about it. You've nailed it, really. Just looked a bit, what's the word, sort of
off,
blasé, bit off. Yeah, just wasn't looking at his best. I mean, 89 is still a decent average, but just the way you go about it and not being able to hit doubles is obviously it's not good enough. So, yeah, he's our flop for this week.
He is. I just want to put in a couple of other talking points that we haven't really put down the rundown here. But Nathan Aspinall had a very good weekend, given that he was feeling sick when he got to New York, and then all of a sudden he was pretty much the best guy there for the first through the quarter semi-final. 104.68, 105.88, 102 average in those quarter semis and final, dropped down to 92, and Humphries was able to beat him. But very strong for Nathan Aspinall, given he wasn't quite at it. And we're about to get to Luke Littler for a story that happened about a week and a half ago, week and 3/4 ago, but we've been away for so long
we
haven't quite got to it yet.
Of course we're going to talk about it.
Did pick up a leg, and he was gallant there, but it's still the sort of nerve issue is still causing him problem. He only averaged 57 in his 6-0 loss to Stowe Bunce in the quarterfinal of that North American Championship. So he's still quite a distance away. He's trying his best, but at the moment he's not quite feeling it right. He's not really feeling the dart as he grips it. So he's got a series of problems there. But he was brave enough to pick up a leg, which I didn't expect he'd do. So that was a win there in that match against Littler. This was weird. And now, what's great about this is Littler eventually deleted this.
He did. I was going to say he deleted like maybe an hour after this got posted.
In the world of social media, as long as one person takes a screenshot and then shares it to the world, well, everyone took a screenshot of it.
At that time, it was 49 minutes into posting, so I'm sure someone took it the first couple of minutes.
So there's a couple of disappointing things here. First is the Kiwi News, which sort of spun Priestley's words a little bit. Yep. I think that letting their country down and haven't done enough for an MBE was sort of two very different comments. I don't think they weren't really that linked.
No, they weren't.
And I think we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago that the MBE process it's not as straightforward as you did a good thing. There has to be a formal submission. Has to be people have to look into it. So who doesn't get an MBE isn't necessarily based on it is partly based on what you do, but it's also on who nominated you, how the process go, other things around it as well.
Yeah, I agree. Then, the comment was interesting about the don't deserve but done more in 12 months than he ever did. It's like, it's a bit, it's on that line, you're sort of teetering with that line a bit about saying being too arrogant and then the emoji as well sort of puts it all together. He's like,
That's what I would say anyway. Has he done more in 12 months? Well, maybe. Priestley won 2 world championships, so he's almost there. He could reach there next week. He lost in a bunch of world match play finals down as Priestley, so his record could be a bit better. Unfortunately, he and Phil Taylor were the best players in the 90s, but Taylor was a little bit better. So his record probably, he could have won a couple more major titles. And if there were more events around there, because it was just really the championship and the match play at the time that were really the 2 big events, but if there were a couple of others around at that time, he might have gone a bit deeper. That was a weird thing that happened.
Bizarre, really.
Very bizarre thing. He does take an opportunity to go bang on social media. He does when he sees something he's not particularly happy with in the way something is reported or the way someone said something.
I think last time I checked, he had like 1.6 million. So he does have a very strong fan base, and
he has a wide exposure
of viewers. So everything he says is going to be noted for sure.
Yeah, no, there's no way. There's anything he posts on social media, even for about 30 seconds, someone is probably likely to spot it and make a note of it somewhere. So deleting stuff in the social media age isn't really doing much of anything.
I think he knew he may have pushed the line a little bit too far there.
Perhaps. Now, what I want to ask you, Josh, is where do we go from here? Going back to the US, where do we go from here? Because the US Darts Masters it's been an incredible event. They've tried different things in America over the years. They had that Las Vegas Desert Classic in the 2000s. which was a much loved event by the players, but it just didn't work out, so they had to scrap it towards the end of that end of the 2000s. Could we see something like? I'd love to see the World Cup of Darts go to the US. I feel like that is the perfect event. They can whether it's in MSG or in Boston or Vegas or somewhere like that, where they can have a bunch of guys come over and then keep those top tier guys when they go to Madison Square Gardens. The following for the US Darts Masters or vice versa. I feel like that's the kind of event where, again, I said a couple of weeks ago about the World Cup, sharing it around and helping to grow the sport is that sort of thing. But there's other options in terms of maybe something similar to the European Tour, that sort of thing. Going to the US. Where do you reckon we're going? Because I reckon there's going to be more. There's going to have to be more.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
the demand's there.
I'll say having a great, successful event with the crowd and the quality of darts on display from the US in particular. Brandon and Lauby was fantastic. So you mentioned the World Cup scene, which we talked about a fortnight ago, saying should it be shared around to either countries that win it or just share it around regardless. Go to Australia one year, to Melbourne, of course, and then to the US, to Germany, to France, I don't know, to share it around. But it's in a good spot. Where will it go from here? I'm not sure. Personally, I haven't really looked into it, but where do you think...
I can see more events.
What's the next event you think should be in there? Because
I think the World Cup should definitely go there, and I don't think there's a great argument
if they win
in terms
England
of
next year. But honestly, it should.
I feel like that would be a good event to come over. I can see it's interesting because Barry Hearn's talked about this bit, and sometimes it's hard to work out what Hearn's planning going forward. But I could see. I don't know. It's a bit hard to work out what exactly they're going to do. Because the way Hearn speaks about it, he talks about it in terms of it being a solid event.
It is.
So maybe something similar to a European Tour equivalent, whether that's we get another crazy tour or a sort of bigger event, something similar to a sort of major-esque, whether it's ranking or not, is there to be seen. But I reckon I probably wouldn't expect much for maybe next year. For 2026, given we've seen the release of the prize money for that, so I think all that's pretty much locked away in terms of the advance, even though not necessarily the time. But really going for 2027 beyond, I think we'll see more than just the one PDC event. I'm not entirely sure what that means. I hope it's the World Cup.
Yep.
And I hope the World Cup comes to Australia as well, and Japan and other places.
Come to John Kane.
But so we will see where things go from there. But I do expect a couple, at least one more event in the US. Under what capacity, we'll wait and see.
Not sure. Yeah, well, I haven't really had too much thought about it, but I'll look into it and probably get back to you sometime next week. And yeah, I don't know. It's got lots of potential.
There's lots of potential.
That's what we know for sure. But
absolutely.
Not sure what will happen, but hopefully for the sake of more events and maybe towards a ranking event, because obviously this wasn't a ranking event. And
neither is the World Cup either. So.
No, exactly. So that's sort of way you look at it. It probably should go towards a ranking event having this sort of success, but where, when, I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe sort of maybe we resurrect the Las Vegas Desert Classic from 15, 16 years ago. Maybe.
Who knows?
Or try something elsewhere in the country. But they sold out. It was their best attendance there at MSG, so they can't completely say, oh, no, we'll just keep it as it is, because there's clear demand for this sport in the US. Right. The Junior Power League finished up for both the boys and the girls, and Jack Nernkervis won that boys' title, and then in perhaps a little bit of a surprise, Rebecca Allen defeated Paige Pauling in those respective finals. Let me just find this. See if I can work out. Here we go. I want to get to the final. There we are. Yep, 7-4 over the Mongolian Turgle that I like to speak about regularly.
We mentioned that a fortnight ago, I'm pretty sure.
Yep,
last episode.
He was because he won the sort of tour thing, which is a separate thing. He won the Advanced Tour. This is the Power League.
Okay.
So Jack Nernkervis beat him 7-4 in the final. And then I think I saw the 6-5. So it was a last leg up between Allen and Paige Pauling. Good to see that these. I like the fact that these matches are not just sticking at about like best of 7 legs. We're seeing best of 9, best of 11, best of 13 in the case of the boys. Because when they get to the PDC, those are the
length of matches you're
going to see. Yeah. Best of 11 on the Pro Tour and up to 13 and 15 for semi-final and final on the Pro Tour, Euro Tour, and on the World Series as well. So important to give them that sort of experience in terms of. matches. So well done
Length
to
of play,
Nankervis and Allen for winning the Junior Power League over the weekend. Now we get into the latest news, and this feels like ages ago again. But Stephen Bunting, he won a Players' Championship. I didn't think to bring in my shirt. It was on the floor, not televised, but we still love it when Stephen Bunting wins at pot. He got to about, how many was it last year? I don't even remember. It might have been 6, or it might have been overstated that. Players' Championship finals, and he lost them all. And a couple of those were really winnable for Stephen. So to see him pick up something is excellent, of course.
Of course.
No doubt I'm happy about that.
He beat Jermaine Wadamina in the final, I believe. I think it was 7-5. I did have the scoreboard somewhere, but I forgot to put it in. But no, he was good. I watched him in the midst of my Bali journey, and no, he was great. He was great. Good to see.
He was, and James Wade also picked up a title. He's having not a bad year. He made that final at the UK Open as well. So he's not having a bad run of things at the moment, James Wade. Yeah,
for sure. Or he's a fart man at the moment. You see some of the news about people complaining about all the stuff. That's really funny. But no, on a serious note, he did play really well in that weekend for sure. Yeah, so good to see him get
averaging
back on the floor as well.
100 on its way there. He beat Scott Williams in the final 8-3 in Players Championship 19. Stephen won Players Championship 18 with an 8-5 win over
8-5, 7-5.
Maynard. We talked about Chris Dovey in the last episode, who won the previous Players Championship event 8-7 over Dirk van Duivenbode.
Your man.
Yes, exactly. And things are heating up on the Players Championship scene. We've got a couple more coming up. Players Championship 20, Players Championship 21, a week from now, and those will determine, or those will, at the end of it, will have our 32 players for the World Match Play. I don't think anyone outside will be able to jump in, but we will wait and see whether or not that does happen. So if I just bring up the stuff ahead of me, Michael Smith, 67.5, so he's currently about 4,250 behind Ryan Joyce there on the Pro Tour Order of Merit. The only interest is Josh Rock. Does he go there and try and make the £7,000 gap to Danny Noppert so he becomes a seed, which means he would run into Luke Humphries in the second round if they were both to win? Or does he just stay put, go in the Pro Tour Order of Merit, and hope that he doesn't draw Luke Humphries in the first round anyway?
Well, with his form in the World Cup and going on to the form guide, which we'll get to in a moment, he's in some crazy good form. So why not?
I hope that it's
he's
32. And look, it'd be great to see Michael Smith there, but it's probably not
unlikely.
It's not looking likely. But it's the 32 we've got. We've got a lot of really strong players on that 1 year order merit. Schindler, Rock, Van Veen, Menzies, Neumann, De Decker. I'm just listing. I'm not going to list through all of them. But guys, you really wouldn't want to draw. Ryan Joyce there, who's the 32nd guy in, could do some damage. And there's some guys who are perceptible there on the seeds there. Van Gerwen, who isn't in the greatest of form. Aspinall still is defending a lot of money here at this event because he won it 2 years ago. Chisnell, Anderson, we're not sure what his form on the TV is. Hasn't been great outside of that run to the Grand Slam semi-final. And Peter Wright and Danny Noppert as well. So there's a lot of juicy potential first round World Match Play matchups, and hopefully we'll get to see what that looks like going forward. And we'll do a big preview of the World Match Play coming up. So next week, I think there'll be one event left. I'm pretty sure that we'll still... will we have to wait one more? We might have to wait one more. I think we'll have to wait one more day after that. Unless we record on a Thursday, Josh. We might record on a Thursday to get the match play field in.
See what I've got going.
Instead of a normal Wednesday. But then, regardless, the following week we should have a field for the World Match Play in good time to do a full prediction of what will happen there. Right. Speaking of Aussie darts, Raymond Smith absolutely obliterated, but he was clearly the best man in the field. So the Australian Darts Association Tour kicked off at the weekend in Sandgate, Queensland. 4 events there, 1 on Friday, 2 on the Saturday, 1 on the Sunday. Live streamed on Dartstream Live on YouTube, which was very good. Well, they had the one board that was streamed. They had lots of technical difficulties on the Friday, but the Saturday and Sunday events moved quite well, and you can watch those matches again on on the YouTube archive. But yeah, Raymond Smith picked up 4 titles, winning them all, 23 consecutive matches. He didn't have to play. He played one less on the Sunday for good measure as well. It was just this is the man that we know is such a quality operator, and he proves that this weekend, just absolutely obliterating the field.
Absolutely. No, well, if we go through his results, on the first event, he won 6-0 in the semi-final against Mal Cumming, then 6-2 victory against Tim Poussey in the final, and then the second event,
well, he beat
6-4.
QC in 3 finals.
He did.
Event 1, 2, and 4.
Crazy enough. Well, we'll get to this one now. So 6-4 against James Bailey, and then 6-3 again against Tim Poussey. So he seems to be in all these finals. And we go to 6-1 against Sam Ballinger, and then he won 6-5 against Ben Robb.
Ben Robb making a final as well. The Kiwi.
Good to see.
Invading the Australian Darts Association. What's going on there?
I know. Hard to believe. And then in the Sunday event 4, 6-1 against Mal Cumming again, and then 6-2 against Tim Poussey in the final victory there. So he just was fantastic the whole weekend. He was
fantastic all weekend. He kicked off with, I think it was a whitewash win and 100 average, and he was pretty much always above that sort of 88 mark, and quite regularly going to the 90s. He sort of did drip off average-wise going later in the event, but it was clearly the best man there over the course of the 4 events. It should be noted that, and Josh put this in, not me, but I did write an article recapping the weekend. If you do want to get a full breakdown of what happened, the guru, Raymond Smith, winning those 23 straight matches and sitting firmly atop now is the next one, the rankings.
Well worth the read.
So here is the ranking itself. So Raymond Smith, unsurprisingly, is sitting on top because he won everything. So he's got $6,400 off the back of a strong weekend. Again, not surprisingly, the 2 other guys who made finals are second and third. Pusey is second, Rob third, ahead of Mal Cumming and James Bailey. So a strong weekend all around, a well-run event by the looks of things. The one thing I was interested in finding out was the fact that this is obviously a PC affiliate tour, so you've got a spot at the World Championship, a couple spots in the ANZ Premier League. Well, I would reckon he would play in the ANZ Premier League. He's not going to go to Ali Pali. He has said, he spoke to Online Darts and my favourite podcast, Live Lounge, a few weeks ago with Phil Bar, the famous Mr. Phil Bars.
Your favourite man.
And Dan Simpson. And they had him on for the show and interviewed him. And Bars asked him directly, so if you qualify for both, which one would you pick? And he didn't hesitate. Lakeside, I've already decided. Wow. He's got this 4-year plan, and he's sort of 2 years into that. And the big a prize money increase, the $15,000 for just showing up, the $1 million at the end, hasn't altered those plans. He's going to go to the WDF, which is interesting because last year the Aussies were terrible at Lakeside. Yeah. They were awful. Even though we had a bunch of seats, they all pretty much crashed out very early. So Raymond Smith, he is one that we could look to when we get to Lakeside as someone who might be one of the strongest guys there in terms of form coming in, especially off the back of this. The PDC doesn't allow you to play at both World Championships, enforcing a tumbling order from 1997 between them and the now defunct BDO. That's why you can't do that. The next events will be coming up on the 1st to 3rd of August. Events 5 through 8. They were happening in Adelaide.
Month away.
Spots are for the World Championship and the ANZ Premier League, which is just getting closer.
Can't wait.
Is up on the line there. So that's where things stand on the ADA side of things. So Raymond Smith and Pusey are there at the top. There is an order where it goes off the DPA as well, the Darts Players Australia Tour, and then off the there's the New Zealand equivalent. I think New Zealand have got one spot of the tour and a qualifier as well, and a couple of the ADA as well. Simon Whitlock's already shoehorned his way into that as a result of being Simon Whitlock. So that's where things stand. So Smith and Pusey are in those World Championship spots. Pusey and Rob are probably in the now World Championship spots if Smith declines. Even though it could even drop down to Cumming if Rob gets in through the Darts Players New Zealand, even though I'm not sure the exact order of how these things work. But we'll keep an eye on that and update you.
Sure will.
But the long and short of it is Raymond Smith won all 4 events, which is just an extraordinary performance.
Very much so.
Winning events 1 through 4, picking up the maximum amount of prize money and leading the ADA Order of Merit rankings. This is what things look like on the PDC form guide over the last 200 legs. And it is, perhaps unsurprisingly, the 2 Lukes.
Any main surprises outside of the 2 Lukes?
Gary Anderson's still 5, just shows that on the floor he's doing really well, and on the TV he's not doing much. I'm happy to see Dirk and Mike in there. That's good. In there in the top 10. I was a little bit surprised that they were there.
Yep, for sure. I think Josh Rock, number 3, that's pretty obvious. His World Cup form obviously is taken into account in this. He leads the 180s and he leads the checkout percentage, 93 180s. Oh, sorry, it's actually 171 to 180, sorry. But high scoring regardless, and 43.28% on the doubles there. So he's been going very, very well, that's for sure.
So these last 200 matches, and this has been sorted by average.
Yep.
So 101.1 for Humphries. The only one over 100, though, Littler is basically there at 99.89. Stephen Bunting 4th, which is good to see.
Yep. He's been still there and abouts.
He has been.
One thing to note, his doubling's been a bit off. It's actually...
It's 38% there, which is the worst.
It's a last in that top 10, which is...
Concerning
to an extent. To an extent, for sure.
And Littler, perhaps not unsurprisingly, is the top there with 49 and 16 10+ outs. So
double 10. Best front.
Yeah, he seems to be missing double 10 a bit more often these days. He wasn't that great out at New York. But that's where things are at on the PDC side of things. The Champion of Champions in the World Seniors was held, and Ross the Boss Montgomery continues to dominate World Seniors darts. He picked up the title in a tournament that saw Raymond Van Barneveld, the current tour card holder, be there.
Yes, he was there.
He won an event. Simon Whitlock lost his match as well, which was a little bit disappointing.
Yep.
Steve Beason lost to Trina Gulliver, which was a big surprise in the first round. But Ross Montgomery beating Richie Howson.
Sorry?
Was it Richie Howson?
I think so.
I think so. I
don't have the stats, but I know that Whitlock bombed out in the last leg. And then, I think it was that. So, Gulliver, 10-time world champion, I believe.
In the women's,
Yes, in the women's, yep. And then got the great Phil Taylor on the left there. It's good to see him being there. He also did a sort of
meet and greet
night out thing, which is good to see, along with Trina. So 26 world champions between them. That's not bad.
It's certainly not bad.
For a bit of history.
Yeah.
But good to see him get the win there. He's been dominating the world seniors.
He's been looking very strong on the seniors tour at the moment. Montgomery. The news came out that it's actually quite a very similar field will be going for their match play tournament, which will be held at the Epsom Race Course of all places for the World Seniors match play. That's coming up around November time, I think. As well. So that's where things are at on the World Seniors. We now get into MODUS Super Series. Firstly, and this is very disappointing because I'm not sure if we talked about this much on the podcast itself, but I certainly have told you this off air that how much I've been impressed with many of these young guys, Banks included.
Yes,
and he's just struggling a little bit.
He's been really struggling this week. Well, we'll go to the table in a minute, but this was from last night. I had to clip this. Was it last night? Yeah, all the first round of fixtures, whatever it is. Yeah, I couldn't attach the video, unfortunately, but I did pick it at a pretty good time where he actually still has the dart in his hand, but he's actually so far leaned forward that his momentum actually isn't be able to throw the dart.
Yeah.
So it sucks for someone who has to go through that. And the best way you can go about it is to really much push through it. You either take a breath and try and go again. But again, Darts Anonymous on X here puts it beautifully. Wouldn't wish dart as my worst enemy, horrible thing to deal with. You know, you just have to keep battling through it. So that sucks. Unfortunately, he hasn't picked up a win so far in the first two games of fixtures, but we'll get back to that. We had the winner of 2 weeks ago. Adam Gawlas was your week 6 winner. He had a very good campaign there on finals night, but we also had another installment of the women's week.
Yes, and Gemma Hayter
got the victory there over Robin Bryan. 3-2 win over that in the final. 2 180s, 85.59 average, and pretty good on the doubles. So she was the 7 worthy victory there. She played very well all week. I watched a bit of it in my spare time. We get to week 7 and Beau Greaves is back.
Beau Greaves is in. So that's strong. So once again, as if we don't talk enough about Beau Greaves on this podcast. Yes. She's in the headlines pretty much every week, so she gets in.
Good to see her.
And will be involved in Group B, so that's good.
Arrow's back. Yes, so along with her, we got Reece Robinson, Chaz Barstow, Conan Whitehead, the Barbarians back, Thomas Banks, we spoke about, Jimmy Van Ski is back, and Jared Cole, Daryl Fitton and Jamie Durrant are in Group B, Stephen Plumstead, Aaron Turner and James Richardson are in Group C. We've been seeing James Richardson a bit in the MODUS. He's back.
Yes.
We got the Group A results. Well, Banksy, unfortunately, hasn't got a win, as we mentioned, but it's very, very close between first and fifth, got to say. Jimmy Van Ski leads the way on 16 points, 8-2 in the results there. Barstow, Robinson equal on 12 points, and Cole and Whitehead are 10 points. So very interesting third night ahead, commencing from about 6:30 tonight, Aussie time.
Absolutely.
I was going to do this, but I haven't forgot to do that because the the MODUS should actually keep updating this every week, but they don't. So I'm going to start just putting it in there from now on. But I'll get to that in my own time. But we have the week ahead. The Poland Darts Masters, as we referred to, is back.
No fixture, no draw as of yet. But I think all the PDC guys are slated to, or sort of all the Premier League guys are slated to be there. I think. Did they? Or maybe Johnny might be there.
Go Johnny, go.
Exactly. See if I can find this all World Series stuff from earlier. I just want the field for Poland. I think that might take me a bit of time here. We've actually gone through this podcast at a quick rate, so hang on, this might be it. Well, this is normally here we go. Yep. So we've got Johnny is in. So Luke Michael's. That's Littler. There's no Luke Humphries, so that's interesting.
Okay. Interesting.
Littler, Van Gogh, and Bunting, Cross, Price, Clayton, Doby, Aspinall.
Yep.
Ratajski, Shadansky, Belichecki. Some of these are hard to pronounce. Sedlacek. Yeah, so they're the main names that we would recognise. They're from Poland, Croatia, Hungary, Czech Republic, from that Eastern Europe region of darts that will be taking on the PDC representatives. So Clayton is coming in for Luke Humphries in terms of the Premier League lineup that usually gets in.
Yes,
plus or minus one. So we'll see Johnny again, which is good. Yeah.
Yes.
So the Poland was a great event last year. So the crowd are really good there as well. So it should be a good event. The Poland Dance Masters. We didn't do any darts counter matches, though this is a good time to bring up that I did average 49.5 and took out a 22 darter, which is my best leg by a mile.
Really?
I think my best pre-score was like 29 or something. I hit a 140 in there as well. Still haven't hit a
I did
180,
say that.
but we are getting close. I actually ended up winning the leg on double three because I had 57 left with one dart in hand. So I went to try and leave tops, of course, and I accidentally hit the treble. 17, so 51 or 57 leaves 6.
Yep.
So I was down at the bottom of the board, went straight for it and hit it. So 22 dart leg.
Not bad. I was going to say on that 140, was it treble 20, treble 10, then you missed, or was it 20, treble 20, treble 20 to get the 140? Like, as in, were you on a 180 essentially?
No, I was not on a 180. No, I think it was the second two. No, it never really looked like a 180.
So if you're on it, I'm like,
Yeah. No. It wasn't the.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Maybe next week.
I'm not even sure have I ever hit 2 treble 20s in a row at the start of a visit? I'm not even sure if I have. I don't remember. Maybe
Really?
I have and I can't remember. That's where that's at.
I should mention there was actually a dartboard in Bali, although it was a shit dartboard, but they had like little cheap Chinese darts. I actually tried to throw them. It just didn't stick in the board at all. So that was kind of funny. I was going to play you over there, but I'm like, the internet's horrible. Plus half the darts I'm going to stick in, so you're going to win.
I want to beat you
premium
on
quality.
One thing I will say that I did I've been trying to work around what's the best way for me to throw the dart.
Yep.
And whenever they show on darts coverage, they've got the sort of side-on look at the play. So they've got the board there. So it's from the side, so you see their whole body.
Yes.
And what I noticed with a lot of these players is if they're right-handed throwers, most of these guys are, their left foot is sort of raised.
Yep.
So think of guys like Littler and Cross and even Bunting, I think, to a certain extent, have that sort of back foot raised.
Yeah, okay.
So I was doing that a bit yesterday, and it gives you a bit of extra kick.
Really?
I've been adding that to my throw of several things. I sort of slowed down the back and forth of this a little bit because it was tiring out my arm.
So I know that Cross definitely does it. He sort of
Rob Cross
pushes forward at the end. He sort of got like extra momentum.
One that's sort of the easiest to compare to. So I've been trying to bring that into my game, and it's. I thought I'd be all out of balance, not very comfortable, but it seemed to work.
I reckon what you should do, you should film yourself. Get someone to do it for you, or just put your phone on.
Yeah, I've tried to, the angles sort of. We don't have a lot of space in that room that place where I'm throwing darts. So I'm not even sure where I'd set it up.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you can, even try to put it on a wall or something, just see your angle. You know what? I'm keen to myself. You know what? Well, when I get home or tomorrow, I'm gonna do it and see if I'm leaning too far or too far back. I don't know. Interesting. I'll do that.
At some point, we actually need to play each other in real life. Like in a proper, not just over the dart counter, which is good, and we'll keep doing that.
Yeah, it's good enough.
At some point. Maybe there's basically no room for me to have 2 people there, so maybe I'll come to your place or we'll find somewhere else in the world that there's a dartboard and a proper rocky, and we'll just, even if it's not a proper match, we're just throwing just throwing at the board, alternating one another. Because I've never actually really done that. I've always been waiting for someone else to throw, but in sort of a real life context. So.
More than happy to host at my house. I mean, it's in the garage, but you can even have like a whole walk on. There's like where Dad's car is, it won't be there, so there's like a whole big space there to do a whole walk on if you want to. So there you go.
There's none of that in there. If you're sitting, if we were trying to alternate, you'd have to wait either in the kitchen or in the laundry next door.
Okay.
Next to the washing machine. I don't think we want to be doing that.
I've got a fairly big space, so more than welcome for you to come over and have a game.
Right, Darts Archive. Last week we sort of half cheated and just went with the World Cup of Darts final, which is still extraordinary of a watch. We relived it. Sundeath leg, 11 data. It could have been 10, but only missed that first data double. I saw. Not sure if you're familiar with John Boy. Media, who's a big American sort of YouTuber, podcaster sort of thing, and he picked up on the World Cup of Darts, so that was good to see.
Oh, okay.
He produces some great content. He's also got a lot of Americans into cricket as well, because he started watching that a few years ago and got hooked. So that was good to see. Now I actually haven't seen.
You got any guesses? So going to the ADA.
Goodness graciously, I did not expect that.
I know.
I saw your original plan to try and find something from Poland.
It was Poland, but I could not find anything on YouTube, so this is the best I could do, given that the ADA weekend.
So we've gone to James Bailey versus Mel coming from event 4.
First of 6 legs, and this is the whole stream. So if you want to go directly to the game, it starts at 2 hours, 48 minutes, and 4 seconds. So go directly to that via that YouTube link on the ADA YouTube channel. So the 4th event, cracking fixture. It's sort of consistent scoring. Obviously, it's not, the 95s, 100s at this sort of Australian level as yet. It is growing towards that.
Yeah, it certainly is. I didn't see many 180s this weekend, but there were plenty of 140s.
Yeah, I think there was 2 in this game, but it was pretty consistent scoring throughout. So Cumming hits a clutch 180 in the 7th leg. It goes the distance, mind you.
125 finish to win it.
Yeah,
so sounds exciting.
The winning play average is basically just over 90. So pretty standard. That's sort of like the standard for like the PDC level, but
for this, that's what I was
sort of
saying. That
top end of the Aussie level.
I talk a lot about the Q score standard, 83 to 93 average, 18 to 16 darts. So, I was seeing quite a few players in that region, which is good to see, which is what we want. And it is pretty clear what the ADA was trying to do, make it sort of look like a sort of pro tour environment with the length of matches and also just sort of the general environment. And mind you, they're not obviously going to have access to a massive John Cain Arena just
exactly.
Yet. Maybe a couple of these ADA players will be able, if not more, will be able to get in there and go on to John Cain Arena.
Exactly. So as you mentioned, 125 checkout to win the game. So that was pretty cool. And James Bailey versus Mel Cumming. Go give it a watch on the ADT Tour Weekend 1 YouTube live stream via the ADA YouTube channel.
Is it an ADA or is it... No, it's Dartstream Live.
Dartstream Live. Apologies.
They do have their own channel, but Dartstream Live was where they.
You can search up ADA.
You'll be able to find it. You'll be able to find it.
Anyway,
alrighty, that's it. It's a slightly shorter edition of the show now.
Yeah,
sometimes that tracks better with the view count. Sometimes it doesn't. So we'll have to wait and see. But that was good. Solid weekend all around. It's good to be back. Good to have you back in here.
Thank you.
We're planning the plan, and at extra time, who knows what. Sometimes I wonder about what exactly we're doing this week. The plan is for Footy Chat to return in an online capacity with myself and Mark Wood. So that will be recorded on this later on this Wednesday afternoon. So stay tuned for that going up on the Extra Time YouTube channel. But good show. Luke Humphries picking up the US Darts Masters and playing well there, along with the likes of Aspinall and Humphries. We've gone through. Well, we had to go through about a couple of weeks' worth because there are a couple of news items, the MODUS and the story, a couple of things that we would have talked about a few weeks ago where you're here in Australia. Just nevertheless,
still relevant.
Good week for Australian darts as well, with Header making a semi-final and a strong performance there on the Australian Darts Association, even getting a Darts Archive mention. That's exciting.
Yes, there you go.
Alrighty. We'll resume next week. We'll obviously review the Poland Darts Masters and see who picks up the title there. We will look to see if the World Match Play picture is pretty much locked in. I think it probably will be. I think it's hard for anyone who's not in to get in. It's not impossible, but they're going to have to make a final, win an event.
Pretty much.
Maybe make a couple of, at least make a quarterfinal and both days, make one final, and then rely on other guys losing first round, second round. So that will be interesting. Well, match play coming close. That's such a great event, isn't it? We love Blackpool.
We do love
We love
Blackpool.
that Empress Ballroom in the Winter Gardens. Just gorgeous venue. Alrighty, let's wrap it up, I think.
Yes.
That's all. We don't have anything else to mention. So, yeah, like and subscribe to Extra Time if you haven't already. There's plenty of great content just going in this room, actually. There's lots of different podcasts and different stuff going on in here. Follow us on the Insta and the... Do you still use the TikTok?
I do still use TikTok,
Still got
yes.
it. All right, that's fine. So you can check those out if you wish.
Yes.
And, we'll be back next week to, among other things, review the Poland Darts Masters.
Yes. Make sure you read his
And you can also
article
read my
on Raymond Smith,
on
please.
Raymond
Extra
Smith
Time
and the
website.
Australian Darts Association
Absolutely.
tour weekend, which
Well
was a
worth a read.
promising one. And Australian darts and darts really worldwide. Darts in the US and Australia pointing in a good direction.
Good space. Good space.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's all we have time for today.
This has been the 9 Dart Podcast.